Hey everyone, it's Kirk here, and I thought it would be kind of neat, well, hopefully neat, to go through a tour of an older sketchbook I have. So yeah, let's jump into it. So this is an old Moleskine book. This is probably the first Moleskine sketchbook I ever got. And has like a thicker paper. You can kind of get two. One has like this thicker kind of cream colored paper, and then one has like a thinner paper that's a little bit more white. But I currently use the one with the thinner paper. But anyways, that being said, it doesn't really matter. But I started this in 2013. This would have been about the same time. There's my email if you ever want to reach out for anything. But here we go. Here's some stuff from 2013. So I was doing a 365-day challenge with some of these. I think the first bunch of images from that 365 days was probably in a different sketchbook or on like scraps of paper and stuff like that. But these are some of them. I think I continued mostly with these. So yeah, a lot of these are just as like 7-year-old sketches, you know. So some interesting stuff. And yeah, so this was not much to really explain on a lot of these, just trying out different things, sketching, seeing what's going on. Big fan of Steve Harris and Iron Maiden, of course, so I used to sketch this. I used to sign my artwork with this symbol because, you know, I'm a dork. But I think Derek Riggs did a lot of the artwork for the Iron Maiden covers, and that was his kind of symbol that he used to sign his stuff, and I only learned that much later, after I was, you know, ended out and all that good stuff, so yeah. So some doodles. I think some of these, like I think I colored some of this. So sometimes back in the day I would take a sketch and then I would actually scan it and bring it into Photoshop, and I would actually just paint over the sketch itself. And I think I did that with this piece here, if I recall. But yeah, you know, obviously drawing lots of people, lots of heads. I think this was a design for a D&D character that I was playing at the time, or maybe somebody else's character. I can't quite remember. But yeah, sketches and stuff. And the great thing about a sketchbook is you just kind of throw ideas down, no matter how ridiculous they are, because that's what a sketchbook is for. It's supposed to be a place for you to kind of, you know, brain dump some ideas, play around, see what might or might not work. And yeah, just, and with like no without the weight of having to complete like a big fancy final piece, you can just kind of sketch and just kind of let loose. So yeah, just some doodles here. A little bit of Cyclops, some Ghost Rider action. I think this was a study from a, I don't know if it was Chris Bacalo cover or something. So yeah, a lot of stuff in the sketchbook will be studies, or like, you know, hey, that was a really cool picture that, you know, this artist drew. I want to, you know, do a study of that, even if it is just like a quick little sketch study type of thing. But yeah. This is where I started to get into inks a little bit. You can see, compared to what my style that I do now, this is just more, probably more kind of Mignola-esque with like heavy shadows and stuff like that. So big blocky shadows, I should say, like no hatching really, but that does show up later on in this sketchbook, I believe. So yeah, so these were like, I didn't number these, but like, you know, these could be, for example, this could be like 46, 47, 48, 49, you know, type of thing in that 365-day journey. So some you know, Edward Scissorhands fan art. I like the outfits, but I do not like the faces at all. I think I was trying to figure out a cartoony style, because I tended to draw a little bit more realistic like this, and I was trying to experiment with some cartoony style. I like was not really executing it, but you know, it doesn't matter, it's a sketchbook, right? So you're just trying to experiment and figure yourself out. So, or just get ideas out of your head, you know. You got to get them out there onto paper. So yeah, so this is still 2013. Joker picture. I'm not sure if that was a study from somebody's head, and then I just kind of morphed it into a Joker piece. But anyways, this I've talked about once or twice on on my Twitch stream, but essentially this is kind of like I used to love Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone kind of role-playing books. They're kind of like choose your own adventure, small kind of paperback novels, and there was probably dozens and dozens of them. And you would roll up stats at the beginning of the book, you'd fill out like a little mini character sheet at like the beginning, and then you would kind of go through and you would roll dice against monsters and stuff like that. And if you lost, go to this page. If you win, go to this page. Or like, you know, you enter a room and a woman is sitting in a very elegant chair with some kind of like grandiose kind of setting behind her. She stands up and cuts her wrist and offers it to you as if she wants you to drink the blood. What do you do? If you choose to drink the blood, go to page 80. If you don't, go to page 123. So that was kind of the concept with this one. I just always like those kind of the illustrations within those Steve Jackson, Ian Livingstone books where they I don't know, just really cool. You'd just see this illustration and be like, what is going on here? And it had a bit of a story, and then you would just use your imagination to fill in all the blanks. And it was always kind of cool. So that's what this one kind of was. That's why, obviously, I spent some more time into it as well. Some fan art of one of my favorite movies. Could maybe be my favorite movie. You never know. Zero stones, zero grades. Yeah, Fifth Element's a really fun movie. I like it. I wouldn't say it's like a good movie, but I don't know. I really love it. It's just a fun movie. But anyways, trying to figure out getting likenesses and stuff like that. I ended up coloring this one the same as I talked about earlier, so scanned it and then brought it in. This was a sketch I worked on quite a bit. I never did do anything with it. I wanted to... At some point, I'd like to do something with this, even though it's like 7 years old now. But I kind of dig the idea and the concept, and you kind of, you know, hopefully kind of makes you think like, oh, what's going on here? I want to know more of what happens, type of thing. So someday. So some studies here. I think there's a study from a photo, obviously, and then some bugs. Oh, so this was, February 2013. So some getting into, I still find this type of stuff hard, like doing ink sketches, like straight ink with no pencil in behind it. But it's a good experiment to do. Well, I say experiment, more of it like an exercise to do, because you got to just commit with the pen, right? And you just got to go with whatever happens. You can't erase it. So it's kind of a neat exercise. These are some studies of the Loomis method. If you want to study on how to get like proportions and stuff, quote unquote, right, I would highly suggest starting with Loomis. Andrew Loomis. He wrote a bunch of books in the 30s, I believe, 20s and 30s, maybe even in the 40s, to teach people how to draw the human form. So yeah, this is kind of like his breakdown of, you know, like 7.5 heads tall for the average person, kind of like where these landmarks in the body are. And then this was me trying to figure out, could I do this but continuously shrink it smaller and smaller and still maintain the proportions using his method. So this was kind of like because if you draw larger, you can kind of get the proportions in, but the smaller and smaller you get it, the harder it is to kind of visualize, at least for me, the, you know, 7.5 heads tall or 8 heads tall type of thing. So that's why I kept drawing smaller and smaller. Plus this was just kind of iterative practice, just doing it over and over and over to kind of cement it into my head. But yeah, a little bit of a Volus, medieval Volus. I think Voluses are characters from Mass Effect? Dragon Age? Mass Effect. One or the other. Then just did like a medieval design over it. Some character kind of concept stuff I was working through. I never did this was like some more exploration of that, but I never did get to do anything with that. This is, I believe, a study of an artist, another artist dragon. I used to do studies, but I would never write down who I did the study from, because it was just a sketchbook, so you don't really need to credit. But lately I've been trying to more so, if I do a study of somebody, I'll put like after Frazetta or something like that. So it's a study after his work. So Stompin' Tom Connor, who had passed away in 2013. Some Job from Arrested Development. Some more just kind of sketches. I think this was a study as well from somebody. Not this part, but the armor. More Job. Some ink stuff. Eyeballs. Some Shebra. Hordak and Castle Grayskull. my probably once in 10 years practice for perspective, or at least for hard surfaces. I'm not like the biggest, well, I mean, I'll just be straight up. I'm not a fan of hard surface art, which means like machined kind of angles and like man-made kind of structures and objects and stuff like that. I'm more about drawing people and things that are a bit more organic. So yeah, pushing myself to do this once in a blue moon is probably good. I could probably do with doing it a bit more, but again, it's, you know, it's artwork. You're supposed to have fun with it, right? So if I don't really enjoy this, then I'm not going to spend too much time on it. But if I needed to do it in a pinch, could probably scrounge something up. A little bit more, just doodle sketching. I'm always a fan of like foresty type of stuff and designs, like wood patterns. I try to work into a lot of my hatching and stuff these days. So again, some more straight pen sketches, probably from like loading up a Pinterest board or something like that and just doing straight up sketch of that. Again, some more kind of life stuff. This was like my first camera that I ever got, which I don't know if I got it in 2013. I think it was earlier than that, but so yeah, doing some sketches of that. This is after Chris Sanders. This is one of his characters. Yeah, so I did a piece for a charity event called Mosaic for Mental Health. So this is just some, probably just this part here called Transformation. So this was a thumbnail sketch of this. So this lady was kind of like breaking free of the stone that had encapsulated her or kind of like surrounded her. So she's breaking free and very happy. So it's just kind of like you know, breaking free of, you know, as much as you can, the, you know, mental health issues, or at least, you know, finding a way to manage it. So that's what this was for. And there's like hundreds and hundreds of artists who do artwork for this mosaic thing that happens in Halifax, Nova Scotia. So this was my contribution to it. Well, the sketch for it anyways. I ended up doing this on like a 6x6 piece of board. Just some notes for artwork, complement colors, darken color, yada yada. I think this is more like with how to do traditional painting. So some notes on traditional mixing paints. Oh, this is actually the sketch of that piece. So I drew it once, thumbnail, and then I drew it a little bit larger, and this was kind of like the main concept. And then I actually did it again on a larger board. But this was the idea. Yeah, starting to get back more into inking again. I don't do these as much as I used to, but I used to do a lot of kind of anatomy studies, and mostly with bones, but also moving into muscles and stuff like that as well. But I always enjoyed you know, figuring out the structures and like the landmarks of bones and stuff like that, where you could help you when you're drawing a picture and stuff like that. So this is Conan the Barbarian with some sweet cauliflower ears. This was a piece for Friday the 13th, I believe. So I tried to do like a really wild force perspective thing. It doesn't really work now that I look at it, but this looks cool. Like I kind of dig this perspective on this part. And again, I don't usually do like multiple characters in a scene these days and then a background. So this is kind of neat to see this. But yeah, I don't think the perspective quite works, but it doesn't really matter. It was just a sketch, right? So this is Steady. I think this is like a really popular photo. I'm sure lots of folks have seen this before, but this was an ink study that I did of that particular photo. Some sketches of bodies, trying to use kind of cross sections to indicate the direction of whether the form is coming towards you or away from you. So yeah, so doing that type of stuff sometimes helps to kind of nail down your pose. Some more of that, some gladiator stuff, and again, just kind of doing some wrapping lines to kind of help indicate direction. These are some pen studies of some classic paintings, and I didn't want to focus too much on trying to do the whole thing. It was more about composition, and also, as I mentioned a few pages ago, have a hard time, not a hard time, but it's always a bit of a challenge to put multiple characters in a scene, in a piece, and I don't tend to not do it so much. So I purposely forced myself, it's like, okay, find some really classic paintings that have multiple people in them, and see how that artist kind of solved the problem, like composition problem, of having so many characters in there and having them read relatively well considering how busy it is, right? So this was just kind of some size. I wish I remember who the artist was. I think these are both the same artist, but again, like there's a dozen or more characters in this scene, and so it was really neat to kind of just figure out, it's like, okay, so he's doing this, and this is how he's kind of made the flow for the piece, so everything kind of reads, and like these two characters and this guy especially is like framed in this kind of makeshift box made with other humans, right? So, and same idea with this one, just kind of a neat, like there's lots of characters and things going on, but it all reads relatively well. So just trying to understand how that artist did that. So some painting. This was actually a self-critique that I did for my first acrylic portrait painting that I ever did. My first and only. I never did get back to it. Painting. A portrait. I still draw and obviously ink portraits, but skin tone is too gray and dead looking. So this sounds like dead looking sounds harsh, but this was actually just like a high level critique. It's like, okay, so there wasn't enough warmness to the skin tone, so that was essentially what that comment meant. Underdrawing was completely lost after blocking in. So yeah, I was trying to figure out, so I sketched out the portrait and it looked fine, but then when I painted over, it just completely lost. I completely lost it, so I wasn't sure where I was supposed to be necessarily, like where the original lines were. So that was just a note more than anything. And then yeah, so doing these kind of self-critiques in a way that's not picking on yourself is really important if you can do it. Like to be able to kind of lift up and do like a bird's eye view of your work and go, okay, so that's good, next time maybe we'll try this to make that a little bit better. So that type of stuff is important, and writing it down really helps kind of solidify it. And again, the idea is not to pick on yourself, because that doesn't help at all. So it's not like, oh, I suck and this looks awful and this is terrible. It's more like, okay, what exactly are the mistakes, and what could I do next time to avoid those mistakes, or to, even if it's just like to slightly improve what I had already done, type of thing. So some X23 fan art with some Copics, some hands. I don't know, this was a study from something I thought was a really cool dynamic pose. It was probably from a comic book, I'm assuming. Looks Superman-ish. Thor. Nicolas Cage. Get it? Carry On My Wayward Son. Some Supernatural fan art. I used to watch a lot of Supernatural. I haven't watched it for some time now. Not since like season 9. I know there's like 4 or 5 more seasons, but again, some more just freehand pencil or pen sketches. This was my first Inktober drawing. I'm pretty sure, I'm like 90% sure this was my first Inktober drawing ever back in 2013. And I've done it every year since. So this was, you'll see later on where my style kind of comes. I say my style, but you know, the style that I adopted anyways comes in. But this was like a little bit more Mignola-esque. So this is supposed to be like the Wicked Witch. Yeah, some stuff, more studies. So we're starting to see where I'm trying to put some hatching into the pieces here. So this is a study from photo. I think I just made this up. It looks pretty interesting, let's say. Gestures, I always find gestures kind of interesting. So this was kind of, I don't know what this was supposed to be. So this is where probably the first piece that I actually did what's called basket weave hatching, where you do hatching but you don't cross. The hatching only ever comes up against the other lines, but they never cross. Like they're not cross hatching essentially. But these are both photo studies. But I'm still really happy with how this turned out that time. And I love drawing hands too, especially old hands. So that just kind of worked out. But yeah, it was neat to finally discover something. I was like, so this is like the genesis of it. There's still some cross hatching and stuff going on, of course, because I haven't quite figured it all out yet. Yeah, some hatching stuff in here. The Darkness from a Legend. So more anatomy study, figuring out what the heck all these bumps and stuff are on our legs. It's helpful. So some photo study here. And yeah, a photo study here, and this one I just kind of made up. Again, I don't know if the perspectives, this guy could have been a lot smaller, I think would have worked, and would have helped the perspective a little bit in these cactus, but yeah, or cactus. Cattails even. Yeah. Sketching, having fun. Some more study here. This was, I think I made this up, we were playing D&D, so I was really kind of jazzed, but monsters and stuff in D&D. It's a very Mignola-esque kind of piece. I want to do like the hangman, like from like an 1800s kind of Victorian England hangman type of thing. Yeah, some more fun hatching, getting more into it. This was just a line study of a photo, I think from DeviantArt. I don't know if it was Facestock or somebody similar to that, or Senshi stock even. A pangolin, which was a fun, interesting pattern to do. A little bit. Doing these kind of repetitive patterns and stuff and then making them still read in an interesting way is a bit of a challenge. And it's always fun to kind of work on that. Plus, it's kind of zen-like to just kind of lose yourself in doing a repeating pattern over and over and over. Oh, some more landscapey type pieces. So this was inspired by The Road, the movie The Road. I had never watched it, but I had seen the trailer and stuff like that, and this kind of, even though I don't know if anything like this even happens in the movie, this just kind of was in my brain after seeing the trailer for that. Weird looking dragon. Some more study. This kind of Muka-esque inspired kind of design, especially with the bold outlines. Or like the hands in this piece in particular. The outfit I'm not too sure about, but it's all right. This was a study of a Miyazaki or Ghibli film background. I can't remember which one it was, but I want to do like a black and white study of their kind of watercolor-esque backgrounds. So I thought that would be fun. Because I wasn't doing like a whole lot of landscape type stuff, so I thought this was a good practice to do so. Emma Frost, yeah. I'm assuming her face, because was probably inspired by some other comic artist face. I'm not sure. I can't picture it off the top of my head, but again, I was trying to explore with some cartoony styles here and there, so. A landscape piece that I kind of like how it turned out. I say kind of like. It's weird as an artist going, oh, I really love this. It's still hard for me to say that for some reason. How about this? I really love how this turned out. Again, hard surfaces, not really my thing, but it was pretty cool how it did turn out. Yeah, this is obviously a study from a photo. Some Magneto action. This is Captain Ahab, but my version of it, where Moby Dick is instead a Kraken. A study, more inky, some Cyclops, some Wanda. There must have been a lot of 2013. What Marvel movies were out? I'm assuming that's what kind of inspired a lot of this kind of comic stuff. Here's some muscle studies. Just and just inking practice as well, where you can kind of practice doing inking, but also study some anatomy at the same time. Some more, and I was going to do a whole series of these, but I never ended up doing more than just this one, I believe. So this is an ambush bug nymph, and then I don't know what this one was. I'm trying to figure out a crown of crow wings or something like that. This was a ballpoint pen study of a Franklin Booth piece, or at least a part of one of his pieces. And Franklin Booth is a guy who's definitely the biggest inspiration for me in my current inking style, without a doubt, and has been for many years now. So, but I guess at this point my style's diverged to be more my own thing, and but definitely inspired from the beginning from Franklin Booth. So back into some people. I think we were doing these for a trinket challenge, which is a he's a French fella who's doing Facebook challenges for character designs, not character design per se, but you know, fan art for characters. And so yeah, the one was Harley and one was Poison Ivy. So those are my entries to it. It wasn't like entry to a contest or anything like that, but just to spark ideas. Kind of like how this piece where I drew her a few times. I think she's probably on a few other pages where yeah, she just this kind of blocked out background I think is kind of a neat concept. Should try it out some more. This is a big force piece that I ended up inking for my father-in-law. 8x10 I think it was. So yeah, this like scene with Blue Jay and some cabin. He's a woodsy type of person. So some photos, and hey, I say some photo studies, and then hey, we're at the end. There's nothing left. So this went on a little bit longer than I expected. It's almost like half an hour long. It was 26 minutes. So I doubt anybody will stick around for that long to listen to the whole thing, but I hope you enjoyed it. Maybe I'll do a muted version where I just do like a really quick, like 5-minute flip through of this. But yeah, I thought you guys might enjoy just a little journey through a 2013 sketchbook. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of sketchbooks throughout the years. Like this was the first sketchbook I ever filled out, and I haven't really filled another sketchbook out since, because I tend to draw on scrap pieces of paper more so, just so I can flip and rotate really easily, and that's just a little bit more cumbersome than a sketchbook. So, but yeah, if you guys enjoyed this, let me know. But yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to check out the sketchbook, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I guess I'll see you when I see you. Have a good one. Thank you.